The earthquake happened in the year 1976 in Tangshan, China. The earthquake occurred along an unknown fault line now named the Tangshan Fault. This fault in particular is considered to be right lateral, which in the case of Tangshan, the quake caused the fault line to slide to the right side. Additionally, the Tangshan Fault is a strike-slip fault, meaning it is described as a fracture within the Earth's crust where two blocks of rock passed each other horizontally. Tangshan receives significant amounts of tectonic activity along the Amurian and Eurasian plate. Both plates cover a good portion of the Asian and northeastern hemisphere of the continent. The movement of the tectonic plates reactivated the 25-mile-long Tangshan Fault, which caused significant tectonic activity 75 miles below the surface.
In the aftermath of the 1976 Tangshan earthquake, of the 352 multi-story brick buildings in the city, 117 collapsed, 85 partially collapsed, and 99 were severely damaged, leaving only 4 buildings unharmed. This devastation led to a huge shift in the city's planning and construction. By the end of 1980, new earthquake-resistant apartment complexes were built, providing homes for 80,000 families. Factories were rebuilt with a focus on minimizing air pollution, and areas along faults were transformed into parks. This disaster has also prompted the Chinese central government to introduce the nation's first earthquake-resistant building standards, which have been continually developed to this day.
The official death toll is officially reported as 242,000, but it has been estimated to be as high as 655,000. The earthquake lasted for 23 seconds in total, and it leveled more than 90% of Tangshan's buildings. The main shock struck at 3:42 a.m., and the epicenter was located in South Tangshan. However, shaking was felt up to 680 miles away in all directions. Then later, a major aftershock hit Luanshan, which was about 43 miles away. This caused additional damage and casualties to any survivors or those trying to rescue people. Liquefaction, combined with the new surface faults, caused roads, rail lines, bridges, dams, wells, and other infrastructure to collapse. In the aftermath of the earthquake, major political unrest began to rapidly increase. The Chinese Communist Party did not choose to control what was released by the press, despite past policies to do so. Instead, the media had the freedom to report about the poorly built buildings that killed hundreds of thousands of people. In response, groups and individuals organized their own private relief efforts. They would send in supplies or money to the areas that had been affected, and in total, the support was over $6.6 billion. However, within a few weeks, the coverage of the earthquake and the government's roles in unsturdy buildings was banished from the media, and anyone who criticized the government was detained. In 1981, 5 years after the earthquake, the Chinese Communist regime had to issue an appeal for a large-scale international aid. Years after the earthquake, many were still struggling for food and clean water. Floods and droughts following the earthquake increased the number of people in unclean living areas where diseases and hunger was common.
The Tangshan earthquake affected all of Earth's systems. The geosphere was of course affected by the shifting of the plate tectonics that caused the earthquake. Unknown limestone caverns were formed into craters from the quake. The size of these craters was said to be big enough to swallow an entire house. This led to dust and debris being deposited into the atmosphere. The biosphere was heavily affected by the loss of lives as well as the displacement of habitats and ecosystems. Sand blows destroyed crops, buried farmland, and blocked irrigation canals. These sand blows were the worst south of Tangshan, where liquefaction was the highest. While there were no tsunamis caused by the Tangshan earthquake, there was a large increase in groundwater levels, a significant effect on the hydrosphere. Groundwater levels in wells rose between 2 and 10 meters and took about 3.5 years to return back to its original levels.
After the earthquake occurred, a survey was given out to the residents of Tianjin and Tangshan. A large number, around 50% of the residents, were unaware that the earthquake was predicted to occur. Those who did hear mainly heard through their work or through family. Government methods such as radio and newspaper proved inefficient at spreading the information. Only a small 38% of Tangshan residents were very concerned after hearing about the earthquake. The attitude toward the earthquake prior to its occurrence was too calm and resulted in residents not finding concern to evacuate or take precautionary measures. There is now much more precaution towards natural hazards and many methods to protect oneself. The survey asks, what action would you take if the government assures that a major earthquake will occur in the place where you live at a particular time? And only 2% of Tangshan residents said they would stay where they live, and 70% said they would follow government arrangements. At least through this earthquake, their culture has shifted to be more aware of their environment and the threatening disasters within, and how they should react to prepare and protect themselves.